Welcome back sa part 2 ng ating video lecture, which is now about oxidative phosphorylation, or the last major step, third major step for our aerobic cellular respiration. So before we proceed sa pag-discuss ng oxidative phosphorylation, let's have a quick recall. So again, what happens to the electron carriers NADH and FADH2 that is produced during the citric acid cycle and glycolysis, as well as pyruvate oxidation? Okay, so they are used in our oxidative phosphorylation, particularly sa ating ETC. So they proceed sa ating electron transport chain. Because again, these two electron carriers coming from the first two major steps, they carry electrons. So now let's proceed sa oxidative phosphorylation. Ano nga ba ang oxidative phosphorylation? When we say oxidative phosphorylation, yung reactions na involved dito is mostly oxidation and phosphorylation. Yung oxidation part natin, dito siya nangyayari sa ating electron transport chain. On the other hand, yung phosphorylation part natin, nangyayari siya sa ating chemiosmosis. So, ano nga ba yung nangyayari during electron transport chain or ETC for short? So, sa ETC natin, we have high energy electrons coming from our electron carriers. Si reduced form ni NAD+, which is NADH, and for FAD, si FADH2, ayan. Si NADH and FADH2, they carry high energy electrons. Now, these two electron carriers will proceed to the electron transport chain, in which they will pass these high energy electrons from one intermediate carrier to another before it is ultimately accepted by our final electron acceptor, which is oxygen. Again, yung Gs natin sa electron transport chain, meron kang high energy electron coming from either NADH or FADH2. These high energy electrons are passed down from one intermediate carrier to another until it is finally accepted by our final electron acceptor, which is oxygen. Yan. And in the process of passing down the electrons from one intermediate carrier to another, nagkakaroon tayo ng release of energy. And that released energy is then used to pump protons sa ating intermembrane space para makakreate ng proton gradient, which is then used for chemiosmosis. So, bago tayo mag-proceed sa chemiosmosis tsaka ETC, quick recall muna tayo sa different parts ng ating mitochondria. Yan. So, again, yung mitochondria natin, meron siyang dalawang types of membrane, inner membrane and outer membrane. So, yung inner membrane, yun ngayon yung site natin for oxidative phosphorylation, yung color yellow na border. So, sa inner mitochondrial membrane, doon nag-occur yung ating chemiosmosis at ETC. Yan. And then, as you can notice, yung inner membrane natin, meron siyang tinatawag na folds or cristae. Yung cristae na yon, yung purpose niya is to increase the surface area of our inner mitochondrial membrane. So why do we need to increase the surface area of the inner membrane? So we want to increase the surface area of the inner membrane para mas dami din yung na-generate nating ATP. Because the higher the surface area, the more ATP is generated. Okay, so the more the folds, the more the surface area or the higher the surface area, and then more ATP is generated. So, yung inner membrane, it separates the intermembrane space and also the mitochondrial matrix, which are both essential para sa pag-intindi natin ng ETC and chemiosmosis. So, you need to remember them. Yung mitochondrial matrix, yung color blue, yung intermembrane space, it is the space between the inner and outer membrane. Going back sa ETC natin, yung reactions, series of reactions that happens dito is redox reactions. Again, pag sinabi nating redox reaction, you have an oxidation and also a reduction. Oxidation loss of electrons, reduction, gain of electrons. So, ganun pinagpapasapasahan yung ating mga electrons sa electron transport chain. Nagkakaroon tayo ng series of redox reactions kung saan yung mga carriers natin, intermediate carriers natin, they both gain and lose electrons. Okay, so now let's proceed naman sa ating ATP synthase and chemiosmosis. So, chemiosmosis, again, this is yung phosphorylation part ng ating oxidative phosphorylation. So, paano? So, yung chemiosmosis natin, sa chemiosmosis natin, meron tayong tinatawag na proton gradient. So, during the electron transport chain kasi, as the electrons move from one carrier to another, ayan, nagkakaroon tayo ng pumping of protons into our intermembrane space. And that pumping of protons will generate a proton gradient. This proton gradient then will power ATP synthesis by using this enzyme which we call ATP synthase. Yan. Synthase because it synthesizes ATP or it creates ATP. So, yung sinasabi ng chemiosmosis natin is that there is a force, specifically proton motive force, yan, that pushes our protons to diffuse across the inner mitochondrial membrane through our enzyme ATP synthase. And once dumaan na yung mga protons natin sa ating ATP synthase, kapag nag-diffuse sila, nagkakaroon tayo ng change sa shape or sa structure ng ating ATP synthase ng ating enzyme, which enables binding of adenosine diphosphate and inorganic phosphate to form ATP. So, yun yung gist ng ating chemiosmosis. Meron tayong proton gradient, proton motive force, as well as phosphorylation. So, let's take a look sa diagram ng ating oxidative phosphorylation. Dito, sa side na to, sa color red, ayan. Yan yung ating ETC. And then dito naman, sa side na to, nandyan yung ating chemiosmosis. So, yung color blue na malaki, ito, yan yung ATP synthase natin. And then, dito sa electron transport chain, as you can see, meron tayong different intermediate carriers that we will talk about as we go through this lesson. So, bago tayo mag-proceed sa pagdidiscuss ng electron transport chain, you need to first learn about or you need to know about the different complexes and intermediate carriers that is involved sa ating electron transport chain. Ano ba yung complexes natin? Or protein complexes na meron tayo sa ETC. So, meron po tayong 4 na complexes in ETC and they are numbered from 1 to 4. And complex 1, complex 2, complex 3, and then complex 4. What you need to know about these complexes is that they are embedded sa ating inner mitochondrial membrane. So, meaning, stay put lang sila. Hindi sila nakakaalis sa posisyon nila kasi they are embedded there. They are integrated there. Now, meron pagkakaiba si complex 1, 3, and 4 kay complex 2. As you can see, yung obvious difference between complex 1, 3, and 4 to complex 2 is that complex 1, 3, and 4 is larger in size compared to complex 2. If you can notice, yung complex 1, 3, and 4 natin, they span the entire inner membrane. So, meaning, nasasakop nila yung buong inner membrane natin, inner mitochondrial membrane natin. On the other hand, si complex 2, parang kalahati lang nung inner mitochondrial membrane yung natitake up niyang space. So, si complex 2, this is a smaller complex that is bound to the inner mitochondrial membrane on the matrix side. So, matrix side, itong nasa ilalim natin. Sa taas yun yung intermembrane space. So, si complex 2, it is more on the mitochondrial matrix side. On the other hand, yung tatlong big complexes natin, ayan, natatouch nila both mitochondrial matrix and intermembrane space. So, yun yung differences nila ng complex 1, 3, and 4 and complex 2. And because of the small size of complex 2, because hindi niya nai-span yung entire inner mitochondrial membrane, it is not able to pump protons, or it cannot pump protons into the intermembrane space. As opposed to the other three complexes kung saan kaya nilang mag-pump ng protons from the mitochondrial matrix into the intermembrane space. So, tatandaan na tanging si complex 2 lang po yung hindi nakakapag-pump ng proton sa ating intermembrane space. On the other hand, si complexes 1, 3, and 4, they can pump protons to our intermembrane space. Now, aside from these four complexes, you also need to know about our two small mobile electron carriers. Yan. So, na-mention ko earlier na itong mga complexes na to, they are integrated, they are embedded sa ating inner mitochondrial membrane, which means they cannot move. Now, paano kaya tatawid yung electrons natin from one complex to another? That is with the help of our mobile electron carriers. So, itong si Q at itong si cytochrome C. So, Q stands for ubiquinone, and then Cyt C stands for cytochrome C. So, these two small mobile electron carriers, they can move. That's why they are called mobile. And they serve as a shuttle from one complex to another. So, sila yung nagtatransfer ng electrons natin from complex 1 to complex 3, and so on. So, yung shuttle natin, shuttle carrier or shuttle electron carrier natin, between complex 1 and complex 3, it is ubiquinone. Same for complex 2 and complex 3, si ubiquinone din. And then yung shuttle natin for complex 3 and complex 4, and it is cytochrome C. So, yun yung mga kailangan yung makilala before tayo mag-proceed sa pag-discuss ng path ng ating electron sa electron transport chain. Again, we have four complexes, complex 1, 2, 3, and 4, and two mobile electron carriers, ubiquinone or Q, and cytochrome C or Cyt C. Now, let's proceed sa ating electron transport chain. If you can recall, during glycolysis and citric acid cycle, we were able to generate two types of electron carriers. Yung first type, we have NADH, and yung other type, I see FADH2. So these are the two electron carriers that we were able to generate during glycolysis, pyruvate oxidation, and citric acid cycle. So now these electron carriers will proceed to our electron transport chain. Now here's the difference. Si NADH and FADH2, they will donate electrons to different complexes. So magkaiba sila ng pagdodonatan ng kanilang electrons. So let's start first with NADH. For NADH, NADH will donate electrons to complex 1. So kapag nag-donate ng electron si NADH kay complex 1, that means nawalan siya ng electrons. Which means nagkaroon tayo ng oxidation. So we can say that NADH is oxidized to NAD+. Yan. Kasi nawalan siya ng electrons. Now, si complex 1, nagkaroon siya ng electron, kaya na-reduce natin si complex 1 basically. Now, si complex 1, nung may electrons na siya, ang gagawin niya, idodonate niya yung electron na nakuha niya from NADH to ubiquinone or Q. So, si ubiquinone, magkakaroon siya ng electrons, and then pupunta ngayon si ubiquinone papunta kay complex 3. And then, pag nakarating na si ubiquinone kay complex 3, ibibigay niya ngayon yung dala-dala niyang electron kay complex 3. Now, si complex 3, ibibigay niya yung electron niya kay cytochrome C. Yan. And then, si cytochrome C, pupunta ngayon siya ng complex 4. Pagkadating ng complex 4, ibababa ni cytochrome C yung electron na dala niya kay complex 4. At si complex 4 naman, ibibigay niya yung electron sa ating final electron acceptor, which is oxygen. Repeat lang natin yung summary ng path natin for NADH. So, NADH will donate electron to complex 1. Then complex 1 will donate electron to ubiquinone, and then to complex 3, and then to cytochrome C, and then lastly to complex 4 until it reaches our final electron acceptor, which is oxygen. And so that is the path of electrons for NADH. Now, ma'am, how about FADH2? For FADH2, they will donate their electrons to complex 2. So, FADH2 donates electrons to complex 2. So, si FADH, because nag-donate siya ng electrons niya kay complex 2, FADH will be oxidized to FAD. Yan. So, sanay nakuha niyo yung pattern. Pag na-oxidize si NADH at FADH2, babalik sila sa pagiging NAD plus at FAD. So, yung NAD plus at FAD ngayon na na-form natin during ETC, pupunta or babalik sila ulit kay glycolysis at citric acid cycle para maka-form ulit tayo nitong electron carriers natin na to. So, basically, nare-recycle lang si FAD at NAD+. Going back, once may electrons na tayo kay complex 2, si complex 2, ibibigay niya kay ubiquinone. Si ubiquinone, magta-travel papunta kay complex 3 para maibaba yung electrons niya. Once na kay complex 3 na yung electrons, ibibigay niya kay cytochrome C. And then si cytochrome C, magta-travel papunta kay complex 4 para ihatid yung electrons. Once nasa complex 4 na si electron, ibibigay niya ngayon kay final acceptor, which is oxygen. So, same path lang basically pagkadating ng electrons natin sa ubiquinone. Dadaan din siya sa 3, cytochrome C, and then complex 4. Okay. Summarize lang ulit natin or trace lang natin ulit. From FADH2, nag-donate tayo papunta kay complex 2, and then kay ubiquinone, and then complex 3, and then cytochrome C, and then kay complex 4. So, yun yung difference ng ating complex 1 and complex 2. Major difference nila. Again, for complex 1, yung nagdodonate ng electrons ay si NADH. For complex 2, yung nagdodonate ng electrons ay si FADH2. So, now let's proceed naman sa details or specifics ng ating electron transport chain, starting with complex 1. So, again, for complex 1, sino ulit yung magdodonate ng electrons? Okay, si NADH. So, sa loob ng complex 1, meron tayong dalawang intermediates, electron carrier intermediates, which is flavin mononucleotide or FMN and iron sulfur protein or FES. Now, si NADH, we will oxidize NADH. Pag sinabi nating oxidation or oxidize, nawawala ng electrons. Si NADH, magbibigay siya ng dalawang electrons kay FMN. Kaya si NADH, ma-oxidize to NAD+. Okay? Now, si FMN, dahil naka-receive siya ng dalawang electrons from NADH, mag-undergo siya ng reduction or mare-reduce siya. So, FMN will be reduced to FMNH2. So, lagi nyo lang tatandaan dito na si oxidation, lagi siyang may kapartner na reduction. Meaning, pag meron kang loss ng electron, meron ka ding gain ng electrons. Nagkakaroon ka din ng gain. So, ganito lang yung nangyayari during ETC natin basically. Pag naglo-lose ka ng electrons or nagkakaroon ka ng oxidation, merong magigain ng electrons. Kaya meron ka ding reduction. Yan. So, going back, si FMN mare-reduce to FMNH2 kasi nga nakapag-gain siya ng electrons. Now, si FMNH2, magbibigay siya ngayon ng electrons kay FES or kay iron sulfur protein. That's why ma-oxidize ngayon si FMNH2. Ma-oxidize siya back to FMN. Pag sinabi nating oxidize, nawala ng electrons. So, babalik siya sa pagiging FMN kasi nawalan siya ng electrons. Now, si FES, kapag meron na siyang electrons na hawak-hawak, ibibigay niya ngayon yung electrons niya kay ubiquinone. Okay? So, that means si FES na oxidize, si ubiquinone na reduce. Na-reduce si ubiquinone to QH2. Yan. So, ito yung reduced form ni ubiquinone, QH2. So, ulitin ko lang ulit. Trace lang natin ulit. Meron tayong NADH. Si NADH magdo-donate ng dalawang electron ngayon kay FMN, which means na-oxidize si NADH to NAD+. At dahil naka-receive ng electron si FMN, magiging or mare-reduce siya into FMNH2. Now, si FMNH2, magdo-donate siya ngayon ng electrons or magbibigay siya ng electrons kay iron sulfur protein, which means ma-oxidize siya. So, FMNH2, dahil na-oxidize siya or nawala ng electrons, babalik siya sa pagiging FMN. Now, si iron sulfur protein, i-oxidize lang ulit natin siya para mabigay natin yung electrons kay ubiquinone. Now, si ubiquinone, mare-reduce siya ngayon to QH2 dahil naka-receive siya ng electrons. So, sana ay nakukuha niyo yung pattern natin. Now, what you also need to remember is that sa redox reactions natin, ayan, sa oxidation reaction, nakakapag-release tayo ng energy. How? So, paano tayo nakakapag-release ng energy? So, sa electron transport chain kasi natin, yung mga electrons natin, they are moving from a high state, high energy state to low energy state. Diba, napag-aralan natin sa photosynthesis na yung electrons natin, kapag nag-move sila from excited state to ground state, nagre-release sila ng energy. So, ganito lang din yung nangyayari during ETC natin. So, nagkakaroon tayo ng release ng energy kasi nag-move yung electrons natin to a lower energy state. So, yung released energy ngayon, yung gagamitin ng mga complexes natin para makapag-pump sila ng protons sa intermembrane space. So, for complex 1, yung number of protons na kaya niyang ipump sa intermembrane space is 4 protons. So that's it for complex 1. Next, we have complex number 2. For complex number 2, again, ang nagbibigay ng electrons natin for complex 2 is FADH2. So, test natin. Kung si FADH2 magdodonate ng electron kay FES or kay iron sulfur protein, anong mangyayari sa kanya? Okay, very good. Ma-oxidize siya to FAD. Okay? So, si FADH2, nag-donate ng electrons natin kay FES, kaya na-oxidize siya to FAD. So, si FADH2, dalawang electrons din yung kaya niyang i-donate kay FES. So, once may electrons ka na kay FES, iron sulfur protein, bibigay niya na ngayon yung electrons niya kay ubiquinone. Kaya si ubiquinone, ano mangyari kay ubiquinone? Ma-reduce to QH2. So, nagkakaroon tayo ng reduction kasi nag-gain ng electron si ubiquinone. So, dito for this complex, wala tayong na-pump na protons. Again, because smaller siya in size and complex 2 doesn't span the entire inner mitochondrial membrane. It's more on the side of the mitochondrial matrix. That's why no proton is pumped during complex 2. Now, let's proceed sa complex 3. Sa complex 3 natin, si QH2, yan. Ano kaya mangyari kay QH2? Si QH2 ay magdodonate ng electron, which means ma-oxidize siya. So, si QH2 magbibigay ng electrons natin kay cytochrome B. That's why si QH2 ma-oxidize pabalik kay Q or ubiquinone. So, kung na-oxidize si QH2, sino kayang na-reduce? Si cytochrome B. Kasi si cytochrome B yung naka-receive ng electrons. Now, once ma-reduce na si cytochrome B, mag-undergo siya ng oxidation. Kasi ibibigay niya na ngayon yung electrons niya kay FES. or also known as the Rieske center. So, may special siyang name kasi nasa gitna siya. Sa complex 3 lang tayo merong Rieske center. And so, again, si cytochrome B, once makareceive ng electrons, mag-o-oxidize siya para mapasa yung electron kay Rieske center. And then si Rieske center, ma-oxidize ulit siya para naman mabigay niya yung electron niya kay cytochrome C1. Then si cytochrome C1, once ma-reduce siya or makagain na siya ng electrons from iron sulfur protein, mag-o-oxidize ulit siya para magbigay ng electrons kay cytochrome C. So, ganun lang yung pattern natin. After oxidation, reduction, and then oxidation ulit, tas reduction, and so on and so forth, para mapasa yung mga electrons natin. Now, what you need to take note of is that cytochrome C can only accept one electron at a time. So, si QH2 kasi, si ubiquinone natin, it can carry 2 electrons. On the other hand, si cytochrome C can only carry 1 electron only. Yan. So, can only carry 1 electron at a time. That means, kung meron tayong dalawang electrons na nanggaling from ubiquinone, yung cytochrome C natin ay magiging dalawa or mata-times 2 siya para hindi mawawala or dalawang electrons pa rin yung mapapasa natin sa complex 4. Kasi nga, dalawang electrons yun nanggaling kay ubiquinone. Now, for complex 3, for every pair of electron, yan, for every pair of E, 4 protons are pumped. Yan. For every pair of electron, 4 protons are pumped. Meaning, kung meron kang isang electron, ang napapump mong proton sa intermembrane space is 2. Diba? And since dalawa nga yung electron na dumadaan sa ating complex 3, that means 4 protons din yung napapump natin in total. Next, we have complex number 4. For complex number 4, ayan, si cytochrome C, si reduced cytochrome C na may daladalang electron, it will be oxidized para mapasa yung, ibahin ko yung color. So, si cytochrome C will be oxidized para mapasa yung electron niya kay cytochrome A. Now, si reduced cytochrome A, ma-oxidize para mapasa niya yung electron niya kay cytochrome A3. Now, si reduced cytochrome A3, ma-oxidize para mapasa niya ngayon kay final electron acceptor, which is oxygen. That's why sinasabi natin na pagdating kay oxygen or pagdating ng electrons kay oxygen, si oxygen ay na-reduce. Kasi nga nag-gain siya ng electrons. So, this reduced oxygen molecule will pick up 2 protons. Kukuha siya ng dalawang protons from the mitochondrial matrix to form H2O. Now, what you need to remember for the creation of water is that you need 2 electrons. You need 2 electrons to reduce 1 oxygen atom to create 1 molecule of water. Yan. So, basically, kailangan mo ng dalawang electrons para makagawa ka ng isang water. So, yung chemical equation natin dyan ay, 2H plus 2 electrons plus 1/2 na O2 equal to 1 H2O. So, baka tanongin nyo ka, ma'am, bakit po 1/2 yung O2 natin? So, sa O2 natin, ilang oxygen yung meron dyan? 2 na oxygen. Sa H2O, ilang oxygen yung meron dyan? Isa lang. So, that means, dun sa dalawang oxygen na meron ka sa O2, isa lang yung magagamit mo. Kaya, 1/2 siya. So, kung gusto mong gamitin yung buong O2 molecule, yung parehong oxygen na nasa O2 molecule, kakailanganin mo ng 4 na electrons. And yung 4 na electrons na yon, makakabuo siya ng dalawang H2O. Yan. And then, 4 na protons din, syempre. Now, for complex 4, yung protons na kaya niyang ipump is 2 protons. 2 protons into the intermembrane space. So, tatandaan nyo lang yung 4, 4, 2. 4 protons sa complex 1, 4 protons sa complex 3, 2 protons sa complex 4, or 4, 2. So, that's the pathway for our complex number 4, pathway of electrons. Trace lang ulit natin yung path natin for electrons coming from NADH. So, para lang ma-recall tayo. So, meron tayong electrons na nanggaling kay NADH. Yan. So, yung electrons na nanggaling kay NADH, mapupunta kay complex 1. Specifically, so wait, kaya nating specific. Yan. Mapupunta siya kay complex 1. Si complex 1, meron siyang FMN. Si FMN, ipapasa niya ngayon kay iron sulfur protein. And then si iron sulfur protein, ibibigay niya ngayon kay ubiquinone. Si ubiquinone, ibibigay niya ngayon kay complex 3. Sa complex 3, meron tayong cytochrome B. And then, meron tayong Reyes-Kay center or FES protein. And then, we have cytochrome C1. Then, from cytochrome C1, mapupunta siya ngayon kay cytochrome C. And then, si cytochrome C, dadalhin niya ngayon kay complex 4. Sa loob ng complex 4, nandun yung ating cytochrome A. Then, from cytochrome to cytochrome A3. Then, si cytochrome A3, ibibigay niya ngayon kay O2. Yan, yung electrons natin kay oxygen para makapag-form tayo ng water. So, 2H plus 1/2 oxygen, yan, is 1H2O. So, ayun yung path ng ating NADH. Now, for FADH naman, trace natin. Again, magbibigay siya ng electrons niya kay complex number 2. So, may FES protein ka sa complex 2. Si FES, ibibigay niya ngayon yung electron niya kay ubiquinone. Si ubiquinone, ibibigay niya yung electrons kay complex 3, specifically kay cytochrome B, kay Reyes-Kay center, and then kay cytochrome C1. And then, to cytochrome C. Si cytochrome C, pupunta ngayon ng complex 4, kung saan nandun si cytochrome A, and then si cytochrome A3. Then, si cytochrome A3, bibigay ng dalawang electrons kay oxygen natin. Si oxygen, pupulot ng dalawang protons para makabuo ng water. So, that is our electron transport chain. Now, let's move on sa ating chemiosmosis or yung phosphorylation part ng oxidative phosphorylation. Remember na during the electron transport chain, we were able to pump protons into the intermembrane space. Diba? Yun yung 4, 4, 2 natin. So, 4 protons for complex 1, 4 protons for complex 3, and 2 protons for complex 4. So, that means, nagkaroon tayo ng imbalance sa concentration ng protons for the intermembrane space and the mitochondrial matrix. So, madami kang H+. Yan. Mataas yung H+ mo sa intermembrane space. On the other hand, mababa naman yung concentration mo ng H+ sa mitochondrial matrix. So, meron kang proton gradient. Yan. Kasi meron kang imbalance sa concentration ng ating protons. Mas mataas yung concentration mo ng proton sa intermembrane space kesa sa mitochondrial matrix. Now, konting recall from cellular transport, we've learned that yung molecules natin, they have a tendency to diffuse from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. So it is actually the same for our protons. Meron din silang tendency to move from an area of high to low concentration, which is from the IMS to the mitochondrial matrix. And yung tendency na yon, that is what we call the proton motive force, or PMF for short. So si PMF, or proton motive force, it is the force that pushes our protons to diffuse across the membrane. Okay? It is a potential energy stored in the proton gradient that causes the protons to diffuse across our membrane. Now, ito yung problema. So, gusto ng protons natin na bumalik ng mitochondrial matrix, but meron tayong onting problema. Yung protons natin, they are a charged molecule, di ba? They are positively charged. And since they are a charged molecule, they cannot diffuse through the inner membrane, or they cannot diffuse across the membrane directly. So, hindi nila kayang dumaan or pumasok sa membrane natin. That's why, maghahanap sila ng ibang way or ibang daan. And ATP synthase provides that. Okay? So, yung purpose ng ATP synthase natin dyan is to provide a path, a way for the protons to diffuse across the membrane. So, sa ATP synthase po, dadaan yung ating mga protons para makabalik sila sa ating mitochondrial matrix. Now, anong mangyayari kapag bumalik or nag-diffuse yung ating protons through the ATP synthase? Ang mangyayari is that yung headpiece and stalk of the ATP synthase, it will rotate. So, asan po kaya yung headpiece natin? So, ito yung headpiece natin, and then ito yung stalk, yung mahaba. So, yung headpiece and yung stalk ng ATP synthase, it will rotate. And it will rotate, which means magbabago yung shape or yung structure ng ating ATP synthase. So, dahil nagbago yung structure ng enzyme natin, it will catalyze, or it will enable the binding of the inorganic phosphate to ADP. So, magbabind na si inorganic phosphate kay ADP, kaya makakapag-produce tayo ng adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. So, yun ngayon yung phosphorylation part natin for chemiosmosis. Since we're done sa ating oxidative phosphorylation, let's just have a summary or recap of what we have discussed. Again, you have your ETC, kung saan meron tayong series of redox reactions para mapagpasapasahan or matransfer yung electrons from one intermediate carrier to another until it reaches oxygen. It reduces oxygen to create water. And in the process of, or in those series of redox reactions, we were able to release energy that enables these complexes to pump protons across the intermembrane space. And because we have pumped protons into the intermembrane space, there is a higher concentration of protons sa ating intermembrane space compared to the mitochondrial matrix, which generates a proton gradient. So, si ETC yung may pakana ng proton gradient natin. Now, once meron na tayong proton gradient, yan, it will cause the protons to move back to the mitochondrial matrix. So, yung tendency or the force that pushes them to move back the mitochondrial matrix is the proton motive force. And they will do so, they will diffuse through the ATP synthase, our enzyme ATP synthase. Now, once the protons flow or diffuses across the membrane through the ATP synthase, the ATP synthase will change its shape or its structure, which will catalyze the synthesis of ATP from ADP and inorganic phosphate. So that is our summary of oxidative phosphorylation. I hope you learned something from our two video lectures, part 1 and part 2. Again, part 1 is about citric acid cycle, part 2, which is this one about oxidative phosphorylation. If you have any questions or concerns about our lessons, don't hesitate to message me sa ating teams or approach me in person. Thank you. Bye-bye.